All right, we don't want to get copyright infringement. This is the live stream, Defion Productions podcast, coming live from Niagara Falls, New York, the only Bitcoin and crypto live stream in the Western New York area. This is Don, hardest working nobody in crypto, the hardest working nobody in Bitcoin, and Troy, the hardest working nobody in crypto. This is the Defion Productions podcast. It is Thursday, March 20th. 2025. We're going to talk Bitcoin. We're going to talk crypto. We're going to talk some XRP lawsuits being dropped. We're going to talk Pi still a shitcoin. We're going to talk everything markets. We'll start with prices. Bitcoin currently right now sitting at 84,485. Ethereum 1,980. It was over 2,000 earlier, but it looks like it did dip back below 2,000. XRP $2.45, $2.45. Solana $1.28. The total market cap of crypto sitting at 2.76 trillion. Fear and greed index at 31. And we'll have Troy jump in. He's got the charts up there. Do a little bit of TA for us, Troy.
Yeah. We'll start with the granddaddy, Bitcoin. I mean, this is the perfect example of a market where you do not want to be trading. A lot of people get caught into this world of like over trading or forcing trades. I think right now is the time to just sit on the sidelines, accumulate Bitcoin at good valuations. Everything is at fair value right now. So this is the time to start doubling down. But again, reverting. So I'm not forcing anything. I'm just patiently waiting. And for those who are like getting, the word is time-based capitulation, that's happening as well right now too. So people are out of boredom, or they're forcing trades out of boredom, or they're just sick of this ranging like mean reverting market. There'll be a time where we break out of this with global liquidity, but it's just a waiting game. So right now is a perfect time to do the valuation buying. And then once we start going long and going into that next period of that next expansion period, that's when I would start, being a little bit more active. But yeah, right now I'm just sitting. Bitcoin's at 84.5. We had the Fed meeting yesterday, so we did pump up to like 87.8, but we just sold back right down. But we're still short. I'm not really longing anything right now. But same thing with these altcoins; they're getting slaughtered. So I mean, if you're holding this, depending on your time horizon, it is, as long as it's not like a shit coin or a meme coin, you're buying something in the top 10. These are the prices you want to get in. If you were buying back when Trump first got in after inauguration, or buying his meme coin, and you're not buying now, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? So this is the point where you should be doubling down. Not financial advice, obviously, but that's just what I'm doing. So I mean, I'm not going to get too much into TA. TA isn't really helpful when you know where we're going in the long term.
Yeah, the big story this week, crypto-wise, besides the Fed meeting having a lot to do with all markets, would be XRP. I don't know if you saw that, Troy. I don't know if you have any thoughts on it, or you saw the news of the SEC lawsuit and all the charges and all the nonsense with the SEC being dropped with XRP now, and all the XRP heads are doing they're dancing around social media, XRP to 1,000 or 100 or whatever nonsense that they think. I mean, it's still shitcoin in my opinion. But in terms of shitcoins in the crypto space, I guess that was a big story. I don't know what your feelings are on it. I know you don't hold XRP, neither do I, obviously, but I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, I've been out of the loop as far as the XRP case. I don't hold it, so I don't follow up on that specific coin. I'm in a bunch of group chats with people that are heavily invested in it, and I don't see the value in it. So I just don't really pay attention to it. But I know it's good for the space overall. That's something that is a plus for the space. But as far as like the asset itself, I'm not going in and buying or FOMOing into this thing. I'm still staying tunnel vision on the quality assets that I believe in. But yeah, you could fill me in on this because I completely missed this case. I know something got dropped. So if you want to dive into that.
Yeah, I echo your sentiment as the Bitcoin maxi. I don't really follow XRP. I don't see value in XRP. I think it's a complete nonsense shitcoin. I think the idea of it replacing anything bank wise is far fetched. I think Brad Garlinghouse is a bad actor. I see no reason to hold the coin. But since we are a Bitcoin podcast and we talk Bitcoin and crypto, it is relevant to discuss. And the fact that the SEC is no longer going after them is going to allow, I guess, the price to probably appreciate. It did go from, I think, like right around 210 maybe, or under 210 to 250. So it jumped up quite a bit, as that was good news for that coin. But I think the fundamentals are the same. I think the tokenomics are the same. I don't see any value. I echo your sentiments with it. So outside of it just being a positive news story for the crypto space as a whole, I have not changed my stance that XRP is a complete shitcoin. It doesn't hold much utility. The biggest utility is for Brad Garlinghouse because he owns such a big part of the supply, and the idea that they try to sell you that the coin is going to replace the banks, which it still hasn't done in 8 years. It's just going to be another coin that's going to be speculative that people will put money into. It'll appreciate during this bull run when Bitcoin goes on its run and everything else follows. There'll be money to be made, and then it'll depreciate 95% like every coin usually does, and people will get left holding the bag. That's basically my stance on that.
Yeah, if you look at the Bitcoin USD XRP USD pair, I mean, this is going down compared to Bitcoin. So the optimal asset would be hold Bitcoin. Bitcoin's less risky too. And I see a better R to R with Bitcoin. The problem with XRP is a lot of people have unit bias. So they look at the token without understanding the tokenomics or anything behind the scenes as far as Ripple Labs. And then they just have this mindset where they're just going to dive into this without thinking. Does that make sense? Like, I don't see value in it. And I also see through the unit bias. And that's why I stack Satoshis. That's why I stack Ethereum, the coins that look like they have a higher, but that doesn't mean, you know what I mean? Like the market cap's larger. So and they have more runway. This XRP thing, I don't think it's going to survive, dude. I really don't. And, I don't dive too deep into it, but I already know.
Did we lose him? I wanted to, he brought up Ethereum. I really wanted to ask him if we can get him back in. I wanted to ask him his thoughts on Ethereum since he brought it up. The ETH BTC chart is equally as awful as the XRP to Bitcoin chart. It actually might be worse. Actually, are you back, Troy? I wanted to ask you. You brought up Ethereum. What are your thoughts on? Can you hear me, Troy?
I have no internet.
I know we can see him, but we can't. He can't hear us.
Yep, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
So, was your question? Yeah,
Ethereum. I want you to tell the viewers, because for me, you brought up XRP and the chart against Bitcoin with XRP. I think the chart with ETH against Bitcoin might be worse than the chart with XRP against Bitcoin. What are your thoughts? Like, what is going on with Ethereum? Is this chain going to survive? What is going on with this coin?
I think the problem with Ethereum is the fragmented liquidity with the layer twos. I think we need to, like, that was the ultimate goal, was to scale Ethereum. I think the user experience is a little bit outdated, I'd say. I don't think it's as seamless and friction-free as Solana. So I feel like as far as market share, Solana is taking a lot of the market share from Ethereum. And that's why a lot of people got caught off-handed when Ethereum, went up to 4,100 and alts we went into it. We had a mini alt season and alts got decimated, but people were waiting for, and including myself, I got thrown off by this because I wasn't going to really do anything to break, hasn't yet. And even the local high of 4,100, it still hasn't done that. So it's kind of been in this long-term range where it's just consolidating sideways, and it hasn't broken out yet. So, I mean, I just think the fragmentation is kind of killing it right now with all the layer twos. And a lot of these layer twos use the layer two token, the native token, for the gas fees. Some don't, some do, but I just feel like it's sucking market share and fragmentation with the Solana as its competitor. But as far as security and decentralization, I think it's much more decentralized in Solana, and it's much more secure. The uptime on Ethereum is much higher than Solana. Solana is proven to go down, especially with the Milani token release. It went down, and that's not sustainable for institutions. Institutions and big banks that want to transfer large amounts of money. We need 24/7 uptime. That's the whole point of a blockchain that's decentralized and is doing the right things in order to make that not happen. So I just think it's the fragmentation and the market share being stolen by Solana. But as far as fair valuation, I'm looking at Ethereum as a huge buying opportunity right now. So it has the ETF adoption, and we have this liquid staking, so it is cash flowing. You can cash flow like a dividend. So I see it long term. I just think maybe this is the cycle where it doesn't break all-time high. I don't think it won't, but that could be a possibility. So that's why it's important to run rate. What's up?
I'm curious to know if your thesis has changed for this site, because I know we've talked before, and you just said something that kind of surprised me, that you're thinking that possibly the all-time high won't be hit this cycle. Has your price thesis changed for Ethereum this cycle then?
What was my price thesis? 10 to 12?
Yeah, I think that's where it's the range that you were probably at. What do you think now? Is that changed? Is it altered?
I think I said 25,000 at one point.
No, I don't think you ever went that high.
It hasn't changed. No, it hasn't. Maybe not this cycle, but no, it hasn't changed. I look at it like fair value. So I'm buying assets at fair value or in undervalued assets, and I'm holding them long term. I'm not adding Ethereum right now. I'm just adding Bitcoin because it's the dominant major to be holding. But once Ethereum starts to, or my systems go long on Ethereum, then I'll take note of it. But at the end of the day, I'm not marrying Ethereum. I'm not marrying any of these altcoins. Bitcoin's the one I'm going to be going home to. So, I mean, my thesis has changed in regards to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has been doing very great this cycle, like phenomenal, especially with the institutional adoption. It's the fastest growing ETF since inception, or any other one created. So, I mean, the biggest thing that's changed in my mindset this bull run is holding more Bitcoin, but I still am bullish in Ethereum. So
yeah. I mean, I think even as a Bitcoin maxi, I think that it would be naive to think that if Bitcoin still has its $250,000 end of year, potential, that Ethereum and Solana and all these other coins aren't going to also hit all-time highs. As much as I believe long term that altcoins are going to die eventually, and that they're going to lose their utility, or whatever that utility may be in value, I just don't think it's going to happen in the next 6 or 7 months. I think that Bitcoin will make another run. It's starting to coil now, I think. We're getting some runway. The yesterday with Chairman Powell speaking, and now we're going to be doing. They haven't said QE yet, but the QT is kind of slowing down, and the QE is going to start ramping up eventually. The liquidity, the M2 money supply, like everything goes into the assets, and I think we'll see Bitcoin start to move. We'll see the coattails of all these altcoins go on it. So, but with that said, I still look at Ethereum, and I'm very we lost them again. I'll just keep the thought going. I look at Ethereum, and I still see that as, and I've said it on my social medias, it looks to me like a dead chain walking. I just think Ethereum has significantly underperformed. I don't know. I mean, Troy did say that he feels like he's still bullish long term on Ethereum, and I just don't see how anybody could be long term bullish on Ethereum. I think Solana, even as much as I believe Solana is a shitcoin, completely has outperformed Ethereum this cycle. The only thing that Ethereum has over Solana would be that, like Troy mentioned, the downtime with Solana would be the only positive that I could see. I'm sorry, the Ethereum having the uptime over Solana would be the only positive I'd see from Ethereum over Solana. All the layer twos, all the meme coins, all of those things have happened on Solana, and Solana's had the higher price appreciation from bottom to where it's at now than Ethereum or most other shitcoins. If you remember, I mean, Troy was buying a Solana at $10 a coin, and even with its price regression, it's still up like 12x or 13x from where Troy was buying at the bottom. Whereas at that same point, Ethereum is not too far off where the FTX collapse was. I want to say the FTX collapse, Ethereum was like 1900, maybe 1800. Like if you look at FTX collapse to now, like Bitcoin was at 20,000, Solana was at $10. Like all these other coins have experienced like growth, whereas Ethereum is just dead. I mean, I guess you could say Ethereum hasn't gone to zero, so it's just kind of like hasn't moved. But I mean, the fact that Ethereum has just significantly underperformed this cycle, I mean, if it wasn't so established and if it didn't have such a large market cap already, like if it had the same like starting block as all these other coins, it definitely wouldn't be the second best coin right now.
Another thing to keep in mind, Tyler had a good point in that chat we're in. He said that QT, quantitative tightening, is dropping from 25 billion to 5 billion.
To 5, yep.
Mm-hmm. And basically this whole bull run was driven, and we did pretty well the first half of this bull run, and that was on QT.
Narratives. Well, yeah, and there was a lot of narratives that were driving it. We didn't have the liquidity aspect that I think you're getting to.
But what we're getting in the second half of this bull run is not so much narratives. You know, we got a nice chunk of narratives. We were having good news every week, and the price wasn't moving for months.
Mm-hmm.
Next half of this bull run is going to be driven off global liquidity, the money supply, and quantitative easing. So I'm bullish the second half. I think it's going to be I was thrown off. I thought we were going to peak, and obviously the market's irrational, and it does the opposite of what you think. So you always have to be prepared for both scenarios. Is the first half, like, this was just straight institutional adoption narratives, and we went pretty far. But I think this cycle is going to be longer, because I thought it was going to be shorter. I thought it was going to end Q1 of this year, maybe go into the summer, but it looks like it's going to be a longer cycle, and this could be going into the beginning of 2026. So
I still disagree with that. I think that we're still going to get the blow off top November-ish. Yeah. I think because everyone always forgets every cycle. And then this is my fourth one. So I've seen 3 prior to this. Everyone always forgets that the majority of the moves happen in a short period of time. So even though honestly, like, this feels like a long bull run, it really does. In regards to Bitcoin, it feels like it's a long bull run, but it's really only like none of the other coins have really had a bull run outside of Solana because Solana came back from the dead. But besides that, no other coins have had a bull run yet.
I think we did have mini bull runs for specific narratives, like AI tokens went off. You know, we had the AI agents go off. So a lot of the AI field went off. DeFi didn't really go off.
It was sector specific. It wasn't crypto specific.
This bull run. And typically what happens, 80% of the gains happen in the last 20% of the market or the cycle. So when you said the moves happen fast and you think it's going to top out in November, you know, it could take 1 to 2 months of just violent upward price action before we top out, and it could catch you off guard because the moves happen so fast. So you are right. We did have a sector-driven bull run the first half of this bull run, but once we have the global liquidity increasing, that will, you know, everything will kind of pump at that point. So I mean, I'm not saying the coins you're holding that are underwater now will hit all-time highs, but majority of the top 10, top 50, top 100, those coins will do pretty well this cycle. So just kind of just be
We
patient at this.
we had a fake out last cycle, if you remember, because we had a top of 60K early in 2021, and then it dropped 50%, and everybody thought it was over. Remember, big shakeout. So I remember arguing with people and telling them that I I I I can cite messages with people that I had in like April and May of 2021 when they're like, Bitcoin's done, like this cycle's over, like it's going to go back down, it's going into a bear market. And I said no, because the last two cycles prior to this, everything happens in November, December, and I said it then. And we haven't had any sort of blow off top in the beginning part of this year for anybody to say that it's over. No, this time we're saying it's going to go longer. So we're on the other end of it. Last time it was going to be, it was over. It ended early in the year. This time people are saying it's going to be longer. I'm still saying that it's going to have the same sort of end game blow off parabolic top time period. I don't know what the prices are going to be. I don't know which ones are going to do what, but I think that we'll probably still have that for most of the market as a crypto market in November. But I think what's going to be different this time is that because we have an administration, which we have some stories that we can jump into in a minute as well to kind of talk about, because we have an administration now that is so pro Bitcoin, that is so like talking about strategic reserves and all that type of stuff, that I don't think we're going to get a deep bear market, but I don't think we're going to get an extended bull market that everybody's thinking either. I think we're going to see a blow off top with crypto, probably a blow up, not necessarily a blow off top with Bitcoin, but we're going to see a run up with Bitcoin and then a slower like stair step depreciation for a little bit and a cool off where you'll see the crypto coins fall off a cliff. I think if they do a strategic crypto reserve and you have your Solanas and your Ethereums and whatever shitcoins they decide to mess around with there, you'll see those things stick around, but you're going to see 99% of the other coins fall off a cliff. And that's the part that's going to be different than other cycles, because other cycles, everything like Bitcoin doesn't go down as much. We know this. It's always been that case. And all the altcoins just kind of fall off a cliff. I think you're going to see a different pace of depreciation into a bear market. And I think the bear market will not be typical as that has been for the past because of all this other adoption that we have. But I still think we're going to see probably end of summer, early fall, some semblance of a run up, just because, markets, these things kind of rhyme. Like they don't necessarily repeat per se, but it'll rhyme, and you'll get a flood of money. We'll see the QE kind of kick in, the liquidity kick in, and people will be conditioned to buy assets around that time in anticipation of that time period. And because people are doing that, it'll naturally run up these prices.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. We can actually jump into some topics regarding our administration that's pretty bullish digital assets. So we'll start with this one, and I'll play this, and we'll dive into this.
I don't know if we'll be able to. Okay, yeah.
Digital Asset Summit.
To everyone at the Blockworks Digital Assets Summit. It's an honor to speak with you about how the United States is going to dominate crypto and the next generation of financial technologies. And it's not going to be easy, but we're way ahead. Just 2 weeks ago, we hosted the first ever White House Digital Asset Summit, bringing together many of the world's top leaders in crypto for a conversation led by our White House AI and crypto czar, David Sachs, who's a fantastic and very brilliant guy. That same week, I signed an order creating the brand new strategic Bitcoin reserve and the U.S. digital asset stockpile, which will allow the federal government to maximize the value of its holdings instead of foolishly selling them for a fraction of their long-term value, which is exactly what Biden did. He got a fraction of their value. We're ending the last administration's regulatory war on crypto and Bitcoin, and that includes stopping the lawless Operation Choke Point 2.0. Operation Choke Point went beyond regulation, and I mean far beyond. It was a form of lawfare through government weaponization. Frankly, it was a disgrace. But as of January 20th, 2025, all of that is over. I've also called on Congress to pass landmark legislation creating simple, common sense rules for stable coins and market structure. With the right legal framework, institutions large and small will be liberated to invest, innovate, and take part in one of the most exciting technological revolutions in modern history. It's so big, it's, I think, as big as you can get. Pioneers like you will be able to improve our banking and payment system and promote greater privacy, safety, security, and wealth for American consumers and businesses alike. You will unleash an explosion of economic growth, and with the dollar backed stablecoins, you'll help expand the dominance of the US dollar. And many, many years to come, it'll be at the top, and that's where we want to keep it. We only want to keep it at the top always. I can already see that the energy and passion of the crypto community is the kind of spirit that built our country. And it is exciting to watch as you invent the future of finance. And right here, it's going to be right.
Now, Don, can you don't trust verify? This video kind of looked like it was created by AI, to be honest. Did you see this?
Yeah, that's there was a digital asset summit and he spoke. And that's basically, I mean, the gist of what he's saying is basically the same rhetoric that he's been doing for the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, I guess you can kind of say. They're bullish Bitcoin, obviously. They're going to hold on to the 200,000, give or take, Bitcoin that they hold, make it their strategic reserve, that what they already have. And then Bo Hines has actually been probably the most bullish of all the people in the administration that's been speaking in regards to Bitcoin, talking about that the plan is to get to 1 million in the next 5 years to buy a million coins. Yeah, 1 million Bitcoin. And the conflicting part of that is that in the executive order, when he wrote the executive order, he said he wants to do it in a way that it doesn't affect taxpayers. So they wouldn't just be able to just print money and buy it. They would have to do some sort of either confiscations, or they would have to sell assets that they already have. People obviously think of gold, and use those proceeds to purchase the Bitcoin, which they're going to find very, very difficult as the price continues to appreciate, and they want to add 800,000 more Bitcoin to the balance sheet, and that's going to be tens of billions, if not hundreds of billions of dollars, depending on the price point. And they're going to have to get pretty creative if they want to do that without printing money to do so. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Real quick, since we're almost at the halfway point, I didn't say this yet. If you're watching this podcast, please give it a like. If you're watching it on X, if you're watching it on YouTube, if you're watching it on Facebook, please like it. Please share it. All of our socials are going simultaneously on the bottom of the screen right now. Find us on YouTube, find us on X, find us whatever platform you're not watching at now, and please follow us. Subscribe to the YouTube. We do this every week, the only live stream in the Western New York area that talks Bitcoin and crypto. Now that we got all that housekeeping out of the way, we can get back into this. Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of this whole bull run basically has been a lot of positives. You know, the ETFs at the beginning of 24, Trump campaigning and talking about Bitcoin, and then talking about freeing Ross, Trump being elected, Trump actually freeing Ross, the strategic Bitcoin reserve talks, then the strategic Bitcoin reserve executive order. Now you have David Sachs as a cryptos. There's just been so much positive, yet a lot of the positive has happened after we hit the all-time high of 109, and it's kind of been under the 100K. So it's a lot of coiling, in my opinion, that we're doing, that when we do get the much needed
catalyst, it would global. I think global liquidity is the number one catalyst.
Yeah.
And that's what we're really waiting for right now. So, I mean, the more you coil up, the more you range, the bigger the explosion of that move. So what I'm doing, and I'm sure, Don, you're doing the same, accumulating more Bitcoin. You know, that's the answer. The answer is you never have enough. So I do want to. So, what is this? What we're looking at right here? Because you said that they want to put 1 million bitcoins in the BSR, Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, and now we have the IMF board warning them not to add any more Bitcoin because of the volatility and stability risk. I mean,
Yeah.
do they not understand volatility could be your friend?
The international
could also be your enemy, but it's Bitcoin we're talking. Like, this thing survived the last decade. I mean, I can understand all these other shit coins, but Bitcoin, like, it's ridiculous. You know, it's another way to stifle this industry.
the IMF is fiat maximalists that are heavily tied to the money printers, the constant flow of capital. They're all tied. What's that?
They're benefiting from
money, of course, and it allows them to fund these wars, the Ukraine war, the Israel and Gaza war, which is insanely profitable for corporations and industries. The fact that we have currencies that are backed by nothing, that can just be printed out of thin air, allow for forever wars, which is why we got the Afghanistan and the Iraqi war for 20 years, because we just kept printing money. And, you know, the elites made their monies in the industries that they were either owners of the industry or owners of the stock of the industry, and everybody made tons and tons of money. Yeah, regular people die in wars, but they're so insanely profitable that, I mean, we just saw I think it was yesterday, that Israel started bombing Gaza again because they couldn't get a peace treaty together. And again, like, everybody thinks that President Trump is going to come in and just like all peace in around the world. Like, no matter what you think about Trump, or no matter what you think about whatever his ideology is, for right or wrong, he's fighting a machine, and the machine is pro-war. The machine is pro-death, because war and death is insanely profitable. The Iraqi war, insanely profitable. Afghan war, insanely profitable. Israel, as bad as it sounds and tougher it is to people to hear, Israel bombing Gaza, insanely profitable. Iraq and Russia trading missiles and deaths, insanely profitable. So the people that pull the strings, go ahead.
No, keep going where you're saying, because I was going to ask a question.
Yeah, I mean, the people that pull the strings, they're going to continue to make sure that these wars are fought. And, you know, Trump found out the hard way when Zelensky came to the White House and they had that spat. And, you know, Zelensky is highly incentivized to keep fighting. Trump is frustrated because I think, as much as I don't like Trump, I think he does want to be the guy to bring peace to all these conflicts, just because it makes him look good from a narcissistic point of view. So I think his motivation is to try to end these things, but I think he's really finding out that, like, he doesn't have that power. He's not going to stop these wars because there's too many people that make too much money in a fiat-based system that these wars are just never going to stop. That's why us Bitcoiners say, fix the money, fix the world.
For the viewers, can you dive into the part where you're like, okay, they're profitable, they're bombing? Like, how exactly does that create profit for someone that's watching this and doesn't understand?
Let me table that for 1 second, because we do have a question by a viewer, and I want to read it and we can answer that since we got somebody live. Jeremy Daniels, shout out to Jeremy Daniels real quick. He said, I think the whales, governments, and companies buying all the Bitcoin over the counter has affected the price. Bitcoin is worth more than 84,000 in my opinion. Bitcoin being bought over the counter doesn't move the needle any. I agree. Yeah, I agree. And Jeremy's somebody that I orange pilled within the last 6 months. So he's a new Bitcoiner and he gets it already. So
he's a smart Bitcoiner.
Yeah, he's spot on there. Everything he stated, I agree with. I'm sorry, go back to your question, Troy.
So for the viewers that are wondering why, you know, they're profitable from starting these wars, and dive into that more for the viewers.
It's very complex, but I'll try to simplify it.
TLDR.
Basically, when you destroy shit, all the shit has to be fixed. And when the stuff gets fixed, you contract it with the people that own the companies that come in and fix it. And that's how you do it. So on the fighting side, our government has to buy weapons. They buy the weapons, they ship it to Ukraine, they ship the money to Ukraine. So these companies make money on the fighting side and the killing side, or however you want to look at that. And then once all the killing happens and things commence, when you got to go in there and fix things, you got to pay these companies again. So you have a never-ending cycle. You go in and blow things up, you come in and fix it. Go in and blow things up, come in and fix it. Make money on the front end, make money on the back end, rinse and repeat, keep going. And when you don't have a money that's backed by anything, you can just keep printing it and printing it and printing it. And when you have a fiat-based currency that you just keep printing to infinity, that's why inflation does not affect the rich people. The elites are not affected by inflation. The only people affected by inflation are everyday people like me and you. Everyday people like me and you complain when we go buy gas, complain when we go buy groceries, complain when we go put money down on a house, complain when we buy things. It affects us. The rich people, they don't worry about things going up in price because their assets are outpacing that. They're making so much money in all the assets that they have. Inflation doesn't affect them like it affects me and you. We have salaries that only go up X amount of dollars. They have assets that go up to infinity. So going to the store and eggs costing them $7 instead of $4 doesn't matter to them. They don't give a shit about that. If gas is $10 a gallon or gas is $3 a gallon, it doesn't matter to them. It matters to everyday people like me and you. So the everyday people like me and you are the everyday people that need Bitcoin. Yet the people that create the narrative that Bitcoin is no good are the people that don't need it. And that's who we listen to.
That was spot on.
And then unfortunately you get the people that are the me and yous that listen to those people, and then they are the ones that will try to tell the people that we try to orange pill that, oh, Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme, or, oh, Bitcoin is going to zero, or sell your Bitcoin and go put it into real estate, or buy Bitcoin and go buy the S&P 500. And it's like, you can't talk sense into stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a good message to get across. Like, the people that need it are the everyday people. The people that made their money through the traditional ways, like the Peter Schiffs, they don't need Bitcoin. You know, they don't need it like how we need it to preserve our purchasing power, because, you know, they have millions and billions of dollars in, you know, real estate and stocks where it doesn't matter. So that was a great message. I do want to transition into the next point, because I don't know if you've been talking about Michael Saylor. I haven't been really following Michael Saylor, but has he made any purchases lately that you know of?
Yeah, he made another one this week. Like, he bought 140 more Bitcoin. Yeah.
And is he like he's like a top 3 holder in Bitcoin?
There's been a conversation because he's been selling convertible debt. There was a conversation over the weekend, I think, or maybe it was Monday. Yeah. A whole space that they were talking basically about how over leveraged he is, and how they think that MicroStrategy is going to be the black swan event that's going to end the bull run.
I don't know like the probabilities of that happening, but there's always a probability that can happen, because I've been seeing a lot of that FUD.
It's not zero. I would say it's not zero.
Nothing zero.
It's not. And I would say that I don't understand, because I don't leverage trade. You'd probably be more qualified to speak on it than I would, but yeah. I don't know how it all works. I just know that he's taking out a shit ton of debt and a shit ton of leverage to accumulate more Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin goes up
I believe he has a really low liquidation price, like either between the 10s and 20,000s. So for him to get liquidated, like, and he could just add more margin, you know what I mean? Sell more stock.
He could. Yeah, he could, but
he's in a really good position, to be honest. He's not using like 5-10x leverage. Like, he's doing it pretty efficiently. So, I mean, the probability is not zero. There's always a probability, but I think he's playing it pretty good. So, but we never know what could happen. We could have a black swan event that happens outside of the sailor and the micro strategy that could cause them to get liquidated from that black swan event. So like a double whammy, you know what I mean? So anything could happen, but I just don't think the probability is high for that to be like the main cause of a black swan event. It would have to be a black swan event that caused another black swan event, which would be the sailor crash. That's how I look at it.
There's 2 articles that I sent you to talk about specifically about Saylor. One of them says, honest question. Do you think what Saylor is doing is good, bad, or irrelevant for Bitcoin in the long term? And then in the thread, people are answering the question. I'll just go through a couple of the responses. One says irrelevant. Bitcoin is the apex asset for the human race. Those that are early benefit much. It will benefit all in the future. Another guy says Saylor is the most relevant thing that has happened to Bitcoin since Satoshi. He made me the maxi I am today. Another one says long-term Bitcoin's merit will shine through. In the medium term, Saylor's financial engineering razzle-dazzle may backfire and impact investors' confidence in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's decentralized ethos doesn't need a Saylor or BlackRock to carry it to guiding light. The only thing I don't really like, it always bothers me when somebody says investors, when they reference Bitcoin, like Bitcoin is just an investment. Like, I take offense to that only because of how deep my understanding is of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not an investment. Full stop. You're not investing in Bitcoin. You're escaping with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not an investment. The S&P 500 is an investment. Baseball cards are an investment. Like, you're buying something to profit, to make more money from, to realize gains in. Bitcoin is not that. You're not buying Bitcoin at 80 to sell at 100, or you're not buying Bitcoin at 100 to sell at 200. You're buying Bitcoin to escape the matrix. So there is no investing in Bitcoin. You're investing in other things to gain more fiat to put into Bitcoin to escape. It's your escape valve. You're not, if you're on the Titanic, you're not going from the first floor that's close to the bottom of sinking to a room on the 5th floor of the Titanic because the ship is sinking. What the fuck are you doing on the Titanic? You're escaping. You're getting off. You're not staying on the boat. You're not the band still playing while the ship goes down. You're looking for an escape hatch and you're getting off. You're getting out of Dodge, right? So I'm not investing in Bitcoin. Like, you don't invest. Like, what's your investment thesis in Bitcoin? There isn't one. It's the escape. I'm escaping with Bitcoin.
That's a next level way of thinking. And that's just shows how in depth your understanding is of Bitcoin, because a lot of people that watch this probably are like, what do you mean by that? I'm buying Bitcoin to sell it, to make money, to buy cars or to buy houses and stuff. Right.
I mean, how many people in our lives, in our personal lives, have told us sell some of that and go put it in real estate or diversify. I deal with that
every single day. Every single day I'm told, sell your Bitcoin, take some off the table. No, to put it where? Where am I going to go? There's nowhere to go. So I'll stay right where I'm at.
I say this as a day job financial planner. I say this as a hardcore Bitcoin maxi. I will say this only because I'm legally obligated to do so, because I don't want to get in trouble. This isn't financial advice. This is my personal thesis. Diversification is a poor man's strategy. Mm-hmm. If you diversify, it's because you have no idea what to do. So you do many things hoping that one of the things work out. It's lazy. If you do the work, if you have a fundamental deep understanding, you don't need to diversify because you're putting your money exactly where it needs to be. Full stop.
Andrew Carnegie says, put all your eggs in one basket, but just monitor that basket very closely.
And make sure you understand and study that basket. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Like, instead of diversifying into all these different tech stocks, indexes, real estate, I'd rather just double down on something I really understand, and I understand that thing better than anybody else. So I have the conviction to put meaningful amounts of money into this escape route to escape the matrix. Like, I'm not trying to buy a house to be tied down to a geographical location and deal with shitty tenants that don't pay. I got to fix, the furnace, the toilet. I don't want to deal with those things, So Bitcoin is the only escape route, the life raft that I personally see. I think it takes a long level of understanding and years of understanding this, and you need to understand the background of money and how money works. So, I mean, most people probably won't understand what that means, but the people that do understand,
they won't accept it.
Yeah, their ego won't accept it too. So, yeah.
Bitcoin is an ego test and an IQ test. Bitcoiners way smarter than me will say that. Bitcoin is an IQ test and Bitcoin is an ego test. It will put your ego and your IQ to the test. Unfortunately, people's egos do not allow them to understand, grasp, and see Bitcoin for what it is. The financial industry has conditioned us to believe that diversification, safe bets, S&P 500, real estate, like that's where your money needs to be. Like safe stuff tied to the money printer. And you may do better than the average person, but you're still stuck in that same system and you're paying the financial industry insane amounts of money to monitor those diversified assets.
No, I completely agree.
I don't pay anybody.
I think it's well, to be fair, like your foray into Bitcoin was through gold. I'm sure you had some stocks at the time. That was the same thing with me. It's like I first got into stocks, during the pandemic. I got in a little bit in 2017. I seen it all. But once I came across crypto, even when I first came across crypto, I wasn't fully convinced, right? I didn't fully just take all my money out of all my net worth and just put it into crypto right away. It took a deep level of understanding, years of trial and error to have the conviction and the confidence to go, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is my bet for the next 20 to 50 years. Yeah. We have a couple minutes left. Let's put
up that Cryptos R Us video that I sent you of Michael Saylor. It's only like 59 seconds, I think, 57 seconds. It's him speaking at that Digital Asset Summit conference. Right, I want to play that for the viewers if you can find it.
Yep, I got it.
RIAs here are concerned about the legal issues around recommending Bitcoin. Do you feel that those legal issues will eventually go away? Address their concerns.
There aren't any legal issues at this point, right? There's just fear. There's fear of the new, but as a practical matter, there's nothing that keeps you from promoting a commodity. In fact, the perverse irony is, I can stand on stage and tell you Bitcoin's going to 13 million a coin, and I expect 29% ARR for the next 20 years. I don't have securities exposure to that. It's not a security. It's a commodity. It's like telling people they should own land or they should put a chicken in every pot, or they should own gold. If you were to actually make a forecast of Apple stock or the S&P index, you're actually making a securities representation. So ironically, I think promoting Bitcoin or putting in a client's portfolio is much less legally risky than to actually promote a security.
Before you get into this, why does he look like Neo from the Matrix? Is this an act? Like,
I don't know, man. He's he's definitely fitting into the role. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It's when you take a step back and you think of like how all in, not just financially, not just with his company, not just with like MicroStrategy or strategy that it's now called, but like he has spent the last 5 years podcasting, going to conferences, going on CNBC, going on Fox News, just gallivanting around the financial sphere, speaking the Bitcoin gospel. Like the amount of it's probably safe to say he's put in more work than any non-Bitcoin OG like the guys that were around in 2011, 2012, like those guys, like the Antonopouloses and the early Roger Vers, like those guys that did a lot of the early work, like of the new age Bitcoiners, like he's probably, I mean, it's probably safe to say that he's the guy at this point. He's really just put in the insane amount of hours to just, he just never gets tired. He never gets tired of talking about it.
You would think he would, right? Every time I see him, he's so passionate, and for years he's been like that. It's insane how
he's been insanely rich for like decades. Like even before Bitcoin, he already had a ton of money. So it's not like this level of wealth is changing the lifestyle that much. Like I guess you just have to find something that motivates you and gets you to get up every day and have drive and ambition, I guess a purpose. And maybe for him, you know, he was a billionaire in the early 2000 .com bubble, and he just was like, is this it? Like, this is kind of boring. And then he saw the opportunity that Bitcoin presented for him to save his company, and he just dove in, man. Like, it's just wild how all in he's gone, and the spokesperson he's become for Bitcoin. We lost him again.
No,
there he is.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I wanted you to play that video real quick, just because it is kind of funny. He's dressed like Neo, and yeah, he's kind of like leaned into that meme, I guess you could say. All right, we got like,
yeah. Let's. How are you doing? How's everything going on your end? We haven't talked. The last 2 weeks I wasn't on the podcast, so how's your portfolio? How's your mindset? How you feeling, Don?
The same as I always feel. There's no change. I am frustrated in regards to looking back, seeing that we're in 2025 and this Bitcoin thing has gone on for 16 years now. And I would have hoped that by now we would have had more mainstream adoption, not mainstream Wall Street, not mainstream like CNBC, not black, like not that, like everyday people. Yeah. You know, one of the things that bothers me the most, or bothered me and / bothers me the most about Picoin, you know, that coin that people mine on their phone that released and all that stuff, is that the large demographic of people that own that coin, which is like 60 million people, have access to that shit, that have that shit coin. A big majority of them think that Picoin is going to replace Bitcoin. They think that Picoin is better than Bitcoin, and they only think all of these things because they're poor. They are the people that need Bitcoin the most, but they've been sold this bullshit ideology to believe that this coin, just because it's a crypto coin, is going to do all of these things that it cannot do because of tokenomics, because of centralization, because of all these other factors that they don't comprehend or understand. But they follow some idiot on X, or they follow some idiot on some social media platform that says it's going to be worth 300,000 a coin. And because everybody has it on their phone and they mine it, which is pushing a button, is not mining. It's not proof of work. It's a pre-mined token. Is going to change their lives and make them rich. So it frustrates me that we have things like that in 2025 that are distracting people in China, in Nigeria, in South Africa, in India, in all these countries and places, in these impoverished places that could definitely use Bitcoin the most, and they're not.
Yeah, we could definitely use that mind share, and that's a perfect way to say it. They're the people that need it the most, because they're in these third world countries. They're in these bad locations where, you know, it's hard to get access to bank accounts, and they're spending their whole time learning Picoin or mining this coin on your phone, when they could be spending that energy and not wasting it and just focusing on Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin has the proven track record. It's the best asset. We already know that. It's the most resilient. It's obviously the most decentralized, has the most institutional. Do we have a Picoin ETF? No, we don't. So it's like, it's just, yeah, I see it. That's a form of fragmentation. It's sucking liquidity away from all the good assets. And that it's not even just Picoin. It's a lot of these shit coins. Like I know Pump Fund, I saw something online that they haven't had one token wasn't created. And like, that's good. I'm happy people aren't creating shit coins every day and stealing liquidity and fragmenting it when that could be going and flowing into the quality assets. So yeah, it is really frustrating to see. That's a good point, because it's not the mainstream adoption we need through like institutions or more news outlets. It's the everyday people. And that's frustrating to see. I think we need to see more things being built also in this ecosystem, and that comes with time. But yeah, as far as that, I just think it's really frustrating.
Yeah,
We have a few minutes. So I want to also say, because you gave the last rodeo, if you haven't followed us yet, Defion_labs on Instagram. Don, we have the YouTube channel, Defion Productions, and then our handles for Twitter are right below there. So
yeah,
we really appreciate that. We're trying to get this out to as many people as possible. Get us in that algorithm, because that helps us. We can get more guests on. We can get out there. I think we provide pretty good value here. So the more people we can get this value in front of, the better for the industry.
Yeah, I saw somebody earlier this week on X that were talking about like the mainstream Bitcoin podcasts have kind of got bland. Like, who are the people that you can listen to now that are like have a different message or a different perspective? And it's like most of the mainstream podcasters, they're making so much in sponsorships, they're making so much revenue in the content that they're creating, that I think they forget where they came from, and they forget the viewer that's actually watching their videos. Like all their viewers are like, the majority of holders of Bitcoin are not whole coiners. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a lot of these podcasts are like speaking to a more elite type of Bitcoin holder, and there isn't a voice for the people like Jeremy that's watching our podcast today and has commented a couple times, that's like trying to get to 0.1 Bitcoin, or the guy that's trying to get to the first million sats, or the guy that's trying to get to half a Bitcoin, or just wants to learn, or just is like, stumbles across Bitcoin and just is overwhelmed and wants to go to a place where they don't feel like, stupid when they watch things, and they feel like they're being talked down to. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of the mainstream, definitely there isn't I don't think there's a good crypto. I think all the crypto ones are just bought and paid for. Like they're all just trash. Like they got their affiliate link for leverage trading in the side of the screen. So they're just basically telling people to lose money, which is just completely unethical. And then they're reviewing some bullshit token that somebody's probably paying them money to do, and they're talking about crypto coins that they think are going to do all these, like, and they put these price points up. I'm watching these videos, XRP to 10,000, and then they get all these clicks, and it's bullshit. Like, that's not value. You're clickbaiting stuff that people are going to engage with, and sometimes people put things up just to piss people off, and it's like, there isn't a lot of places where you can go and just have real conversations. People are just really talking about what's going on in space. It's not for clicks and views per se. It's just like real conversations that everyday people are thinking about. And I think that's the type of value that we provide in this podcast. So we're just talking about things. We see articles, we bring them up, we talk about them as if we were just coming across them on YouTube, and we give you a layman's perspective on it. And I think that's the value that we provide. And I'm hoping that towards end of this bull run, that we get some more people to jump in and interact with us during our live stream, and we go from there. Right?
Well said. Yeah. Awesome.
All right. We're coming up on the end of this thing. As we always do at the end of every podcast that we've done for 2.5 years of filming and 76 episodes of the Defion Productions podcast.
Years?
It's been 2.5 years, bro. This is episode number 76. As we do, as we end, thanks for watching. Don't trust, verify. See you live next week. Peace.